England have announced their T20 World Cup squad for the T20 World Cup coming up in less than a month's time now, which feels like it's shot around quite quickly. Do you have it there to hand? And if you do, would you like to list out the names that are involved in it? Because I don't.
I certainly do. So we have Josh Buttler, skipper, Phil Salt, Harry Brook, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, Liam Livingston, Chris Jordan, Adil Rashid, Mark Wood. Now those players are all the same from the 2022 T20 World Cup down in Australia. And the 6 different players are Johnny Bairstow, who's obviously injured, Will Jacks, Ben Duckett, Tom Hartley, Jofra Archer, and Reece Topley. Bairstow and Topley were originally included in the T20 World Cup Down Under, but had to withdraw due to injury. But they get their chance again this time round.
Have England got to reduce this down by a couple as well, haven't they, I think?
Have they?
I
But
believe...
surely that's only 15. Well, they did make the point and reiterated that it's provisional in the same way that they did with that previous one. It caused a bit of a stir, didn't it?
It did.
Harry Brook not being included.
just to keep everybody on their toes. I can't even find the news article now. It happened so long ago. What I did think about it though, when I looked at the squad, I looked at it and I kind of thought there wasn't like normally like an England kind of, oh, shut up, Rob Key, I don't want to listen to you. Sorry, that wasn't meant to sound quite as aggressive as what it was. Sorry, Rob. I think you're a great bloke. But I looked at it for the first time and went, do you know what? That actually looks all right. Whereas in previous squads that have announced, you kind of go, wow, where's Moeen Ali in this or whatever? Like there's normally some kind of outrage. And I looked at it and I went, do you know what? Looks all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's obviously a few players that have scored well in the IPL, which is exciting for those batters at the top of the order. Buttler, Salt, Jacks, Bairstow have all done pretty well in the IPL, so they'll be going into it with a bit of form, I guess. But it looks pretty. I feel like it does look quite well balanced between like rawness in terms of there are some players in there that haven't played heaps of international cricket.
Yeah.
And then there are the experienced pros of like Buttler, Ali, Jordan, Rashid, Wood, Bairstow, who have played a lot for England and do have experience of winning, whether it was the World Cup in 2019 or obviously the T20 World Cup a couple of years ago in Australia. So it's good that there is kind of that balance between having a few fresh faces in the squad, but also you can rely on that experience. They've done it before. They know what it takes to win these tournaments and how important momentum is and things like that. But hopefully it'll be a bit better than the 50 over World Cup last year.
Yeah, that was embarrassing, wasn't it? And I think the one thing as well to mention here is the fact that this is going to be the last kind of almost the last hurrah for a lot of those England kind of white ball legends out of that Owen Morgan era, like Moeen, Adil Rashid are both in their mid-30s. Johnny Bairstow's in his mid-30s as well. Chris Jordan's 35. There's 4 there that you kind of think, well, almost certainly aren't going to be involved in the next whatever the World Cup is, whenever that might happen. So, firstly, that's kind of sad. Like these guys, they're legends of this white ball side, and they're going to want to go out on a high. Ray and what like Tom Hartley as well. Like, how does Tom Hartley get in all these squads now? What's he done right in the kind of the background of English cricket to just suddenly get into these? He was the one guy that I looked at and I went, how have you got in there, Tom?
Dan, you know the exact reason why he's in there. Release Point! Come on!
The Release Point podcast.
Yeah, I don't know if Ray and Arman would be a little bit peeved about that, to be fair. Obviously, knowing how crucial leg spinners are, generally, and how much of an impact they can have in T20 cricket, he's got a really good skill set. God forbid anything happens to Adil Rashid.
Yeah.
Otherwise, well, I mean, we've got Livingston, haven't we? And he does a bit of everything. But yeah, Tom Hartley, he's just a bit green, isn't he? Obviously hasn't played T20 cricket yet for England, but it's like one of those. He's a decent. He feels like he's a decent squad player.
Yeah.
But realistically, at this moment, is he going to feature? I don't know. They backed him. To be fair, they backed him in India, didn't they? And we know he can hit bombs, and that's all he's interested in, because that's all he was interested in Test matches. So a handy bit of extra batting, and he's skillful with the ball. But I feel like, yeah, Rayan Ahmed has probably done a little bit more in his T20 career, potentially, with the skill set that he has. But we know that they'll probably both feature in the same team in the next T20 World Cup, because that's just the evolution of this white ball team, isn't it?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't believe Tom Hartley fits in England's kind of best 11 out of that squad of 15. I think he very much will, based on my logic anyway, will be having a nice holiday in the Caribbean. Which who wouldn't enjoy one of those, particularly with Moeen in there as the spinner or the finger spinner in at number 7. Can't see him sitting in there. Maybe he would play in front of Sam Curran if it was a spinning pitch rather than a seaming pitch. But I don't think he makes that kind of strongest 11. Jofra's back though, which is, well, I mean, I say he's back. He's in the squad. He's not necessarily back yet, and there's been a lot of caveats, hasn't there, as to whether he will or won't be fit. And he kind of he's kind of disappeared again, hasn't he, for a little bit? I don't know how closely you follow the world of Jofra Archer, but he kind of came back when he shouldn't have played in that Barbados kind of schools game, didn't he? Then he kind of vanished again for a bit. Then he came back to Hove and did various bits and bobs with Sussex and was photographed, and now he's kind of disappeared again. I just want to see him on the cricket field again. I'm not at this point here. I'm not even too bothered who it's for. I just want to see him play and just kind of remind me how good he actually is.
Yeah, it feels like it's a bit of like the mystery of Jofra Archer, doesn't it? And I genuinely, you make a really good point. I think people could have probably forgotten how good he actually is. And it isn't until we do see him back out there on the pitch, which, as we know, you can't take anything for granted until he is out there, standing at the top of his mark, ready to deliver a ball at whatever time that may be, whether that's in the upcoming warm-up series against Pakistan or not. If he's ready for that, you can't believe it until you see it, can you? But yeah, he is just so exciting. The best run up. The best seamers run up in international cricket, surely.
It's up there. It's a top 5. It's a top 5, and maybe that's a segment for the podcast at some point, Joe. Who knows? Maybe for a slower week. Yeah, the team excites me. I think it's got a lot of potential. I like the batting lineup. I think it's a bit of a scary batting lineup, which I like. And the bowling side of things, if the batting lineup works, it doesn't really matter. But with the fragility of Jofra, Markwood, Reece Topley, I'm a little bit worried as to who that seam or what that seam department might actually look like in a month's time. But I'm hopeful, and it would be, wouldn't it be cool to go and lift the trophy again in the Caribbean?
So good. What a place to play cricket.
Elite. Very good. Very good.